Alright, hopefully today is the day that I finally get all this together and on the Jeep. Got the skid plate, got the bumper over there. You can't see them, but hanging up right over there are the nut strips that I was waiting for yesterday. Over there drying a little bit, because I just painted them. So, first thing I have to do is take that skid plate and get it up around the gas tank and get a couple bolts in it to hold it in place so then I can wrestle with the bumper, get that on. So I think I'm going to start the GoPro and see what this process turns into. Alright, as my IRL counterpart stated, hopefully today we'll be able to get that tire carrier bumper skid plate set up all up under the Jeep. I've been working on this for quite a while now, and I've been making videos and posting videos for quite a while on it. I'm not sick of it, and I hope you're not sick of it either, but it's time that it all came together, as much as possible anyways. What I was doing there to start was actually just cleaning up the back area where the stock brackets went and where the new brackets for my bumper were going. Some of the undercoating that I had on there came off with the stock brackets, so I wanted to clean it up again and throw some new undercoating on there so it, looks nice and pretty again. Not that anybody will ever see it, but, it's a nice little touch. What I'm doing here is taking rust-proof grease and just wiping it all on where the mating surfaces of the skid plate will go onto the Jeep. This is just to do exactly as the grease is called, just keep rust from forming in between there. So if there's ever any moisture that gets stuck up in between there, it shouldn't rust. Air quotes, shouldn't. It's rusts. If you ever live anywhere that has rust problems, like northeast or anywhere where it snows in the winter and they treat the roads with salt, it's an ongoing battle. And there's not really any way to ensure that it doesn't happen besides just not driving the vehicle. So, at the very least anyways, doing stuff like making sure everything is painted perfectly or as perfect as you can be within reason, and doing rust-proof grease on parts and pieces you're putting together, and anti-seize on all your fasteners. It's all adds up a little while and will make your projects and vehicles last that much longer. As you saw, getting the skid plate up in place was actually pretty easy. I just put it up on a pallet and put it on a jack, and then jacked it up under the Jeep, and I'm just sort of fishing the fasteners in and get everything lined up and held in place. So I had stopped filming myself with the GoPro at one point because I started to have to wrestle with this a lot, but I have 2 bolts on this side in, and I have 2 bolts on the other side in. They're both the furthest back ones, just to hold it up in place. And then I had to I started to see if I could get, this front 2 lined up on both sides, and believe it or not, the passenger side lines up just fine. However, the driver's side, the skid plate needs to get pushed way further to the front. Now, what I've been able to do is just jam a pry bar up over here and push on it this way, but that meant that this hole for this bolt doesn't line up at all. So I had to take a 1/2-inch drill bit and pretty much completely re-drill this hole so I can get everything to line up like it's supposed to. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. So now that I have that hole drilled, I'm going to throw some quick squirt of paint on that so it doesn't rust too much, so I'm going to lather it up with some anti-rust grease over there. But at this point, what I need to start doing is put my brackets in for the bumper itself so I can get that out of the way. And I just realized a problem. I just realized the big problem. Crap. So like I was just saying, I just realized I had a big problem. And I do. So these 3 bolts, or yeah, they're bolts, or nuts rather, on this side, are weld nuts. They come like that from the factory, because the stock bracket just gets bolted up into there. Of course, like I've said before, and you've seen the video, I had to cut, on this side anyways, just one, and cut, slice the head off with a my air hammer slash chisel. And on the back side, I just air hammered the backs of it off with a little zip of the air chisel, which is great. And in my head, I was like, okay, I just have to get a normal nut, just like this, and I can feed it up the backside, feed the bolt through, tighten it up like normal. I failed to realize, however, that once the skid plate was here, I have no access to get here because the skid plate comes up and seals, well, not seals, but covers that entire area that I'd be able to get a wrench in there. So I've been sitting here for a minute contemplating my solutions. Some of them were better than others. By contemplating taking the skid plate all the way back off, putting the bumper on first, then the skid plate, then the bracket, which would allow me to get these 2 brackets up here that hold the bumper on set in place where they need to be, and I can tighten those down from the back before the skid plate goes on. However, that means doing this work twice, since I already got it wrestled in place there. Then I have to then start wrestling with the bumper, then start re-wrestling with this, then I didn't feel like going that route. So I considered then cutting a hole over here somewhere so I can feed a wrench through over here, however way I would need to go, hold on to the nut, and do it that way. However, that would be nearly impossible with the bumper then in place. So I found another solution, which is the one that I'm going to make work, even if it doesn't. This is a really long extension, and it has a socket on the end of it that'll work. Luckily, the gas tank just spans between the 2 unibody frame rails and leaves a little bit of a gap here. So what that allows me to do is feed this extension in from the back all the way up to the back side of where this bolt goes. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. On this side, the same thing is true. I had to lob off this one. On this side, however, I also did have to lob off that one. This one I can get easily from under over here. I can get my hand up back there, holding it on there, no problem. So that's not a problem. However, this one is the same issue as the other side, but that's why I created this masterpiece. So it's on there. I fought with this thing all day to get it on there. Really, the cause of the issue was the brackets that tie into where the trailer hitch goes. Those needed to get modified in order to fit. So it's probably hard to tell, and these bolts aren't really very tight yet. They're just in there tight enough to hold everything together. I'm done fucking with this thing today. But what happened is this side needed to have a lip shaved down off the back of the Jeep in order to fit that bracket in there with the bumper. And then on this side, if you can see where there's a bunch of paint missing, I had to take these brackets out like 3 or 4 different times to cut more of the end off. It used to be square. I had to cut it at an angle so it would line up with the angle of the bumper here. but I eventually got them to fit, and my extension trick did actually work on that. This side, however, completely fucked me. This bolt right here ended up going and cross-threaded on me, so I fought with it for way longer than I should have. It started to cross-thread once, so I fixed the bolt with a tap, and then tried to fix the nuts in there with the tap as well. But I got it back in there once and it started to go in, and I just said fuck it, and it went in cross-thread. I fought with this thing for too long. Alright, let's see how much of a bitch this is going to be. As it turns out, this bolt in the bottom here is a 15/16. It's also a locking nut, which is good. It won't ever back out on me, but it's actually pretty hard to turn. Probably shouldn't let that Allen wrench just rest up on my tail light like that, though. I think I just cracked it. Yep, it's broken. Oops. Oh boy. A little bit tight, but it's better to have it tight than loose, as once it works in, it'll probably loosen up a little bit. Probably because of paint and maybe a little bit of different angle. Who knows? Alright, so there it is. Now, obviously there's still a part missing. I have to, bolt on the top part there, but I'll wait until I actually have a spare tire wrapped on my spare wheel before I do that. But, there she is.
Nice and tight against the Jeep like I wanted. Looks nice and tight from the back. It's not super huge and gaudy looking or bulky looking. It's a nice sleek addition to the back of the Jeep between the bumper and the tire carrier and that skid plate. Can't forget about that skid plate. Next, we gotta take care of that exhaust. I need to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do as an exhaust hanger over here. Because, I mean, having it do this is not ideal by any means. So, I'm gonna figure out a way to make this work. Now, it does have the factory holes on it still, so I'm planning on using those in some way, shape, or form. But I need to enlarge them because these bolts are larger than the factory ones. So, as long as I can get those holes opened up a bit, this one is pretty close to the edge, so that's going to be interesting. I can then use these holes here that I had drilled in this mount to use a clothes hanger to hold up the exhaust and hopefully bring it up a little bit and out so it doesn't hit my skid plate here. It's kind of annoying to have it hit that all the time. Alright, I got the exhaust system, or exhaust hanger back in there, I should say. I ended up actually just cutting slots in the hanger itself so I could just slip it in and out when I needed to, as opposed to, if I ever wanted to take the exhaust hanger off, having to take this bolt and the other one out, making it way easier to work with. But it's a tight fit, but it'll work.
So that'll conclude this episode or installment of Weekend Handymen, specifically on the red Jeep. If you want to find out more information, be sure to check us out on Facebook. Link is in the description. Usually I post various pictures about what I'm working on, whether it's this Jeep, my white Jeep, or sometimes my daily gets on there. And all the other projects that the other guys on this channel work on. But be sure to subscribe. Leave us a comment down below. Tell me I'm an idiot, or tell me how great I am. I like that too. But also make sure you share this video. If you know anybody who's into Jeeps, working on cars, or maybe might have an interest in this sort of thing, send them a link or share it on Facebook.